For years, we've been told that losing weight is simple math: eat less, move more, count every calorie. But science now shows that your body isn't a calculator. It's a complex healing system governed by biology, not arithmetic. Calorie counting often fails because it ignores how your metabolism, hormones, and cells actually work. The real key to losing weight fast isn't restriction, it's activation. Let's uncover the only proven, science-backed ways your body burns fat naturally without ever counting a single calorie. When most people decide to lose weight, they immediately think of eating less, cutting calories, skipping meals, or following restrictive diets. They believe that the less they eat, the faster the fat will melt away. But the truth is, this approach backfires almost every time. When you starve your body, you don't just lose fat, you lose muscle, energy, and motivation. Your metabolism slows down to protect you from what it perceives as a famine. And before long, every bite you take seems to go straight to your waistline. Real weight loss doesn't come from starvation. It comes from activation, turning on the natural fat-burning systems that are already built into your body. Your body is not a calculator that simply adds and subtracts calories. It's a living, healing, intelligent system that responds to the quality of the food you give it. When you eat real, nutrient-rich foods, your metabolism comes alive. Your blood vessels open up, your cells receive oxygen more efficiently, your hormones rebalance, and your fat-burning switches turn on. The secret is not to eat less, but to eat smarter, to feed your body the kind of information that tells it to burn, not store fat. Let's start with what happens when you restrict calories too much. Your body assumes you're in danger, that food is scarce, and so it slows everything down. Your thyroid becomes sluggish, your energy dips, and your hunger hormones go haywire. Ghrelin, the hormone that makes you hungry, spikes through the roof, while leptin, the hormone that signals fullness, drops. This is why most diets fail, not because people lack willpower, but because they are fighting their biology. The body is designed to protect you from starvation. The only way to win this fight is not to start it at all. When you focus instead on activation, everything changes. Certain foods contain natural compounds that literally talk to your metabolism. Take green tea, for example. It contains catechins, bioactive compounds that enhance fat oxidation, meaning your body starts converting stored fat into usable energy. Coffee, in moderation, can do something similar through caffeine and chlorogenic acid, boosting alertness and stimulating thermogenesis, the process of heat production that burns calories. Even dark chocolate, when it's rich in flavonols, can help regulate blood sugar and improve blood flow, both essential for efficient fat metabolism. The next part of activation comes from nourishing your blood vessels. Every fat cell in your body relies on a network of tiny capillaries for its blood supply. When that supply is excessive, fat cells thrive and multiply. But when you eat foods that cut off the unnecessary blood flow, like tomatoes, soy, parsley, and even red grapes, you begin to starve the unwanted fat cells while preserving the healthy ones. This is called anti-angiogenesis, and it's one of your body's most powerful built-in fat control mechanisms. You're not starving yourself, you're simply rebalancing your internal landscape so fat doesn't have room to grow. Another key player in activation is brown fat, a special type of fat that burns energy to produce heat. Unlike white fat, which stores calories, brown fat actually consumes them. It's like a tiny furnace inside your body. The good news, you can turn it on naturally. Cold exposure, even something as simple as a cool shower, can activate brown fat. So can certain foods like chili peppers, which contain capsaicin, and green tea, again due to its catechins. When brown fat kicks in, it starts to pull energy from white fat stores, helping you lose weight faster and more sustainably. And then there's the gut, one of the most overlooked pieces in the weight loss puzzle. Inside your digestive tract live trillions of microbes that communicate directly with your metabolism, your brain, and even your fat cells. When your gut bacteria are out of balance, they trigger inflammation and cravings for sugar and processed foods. But when they're fed properly with fiber, probiotics, and fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, and kefir, they release short-chain fatty acids that improve insulin sensitivity and enhance fat burning. You stop fighting hunger because your gut is finally on your side. Activation also means reducing inflammation because chronic inflammation slows down metabolism and tells the body to store fat as a protective mechanism. Anti-inflammatory foods, extra virgin olive oil, fatty fish, turmeric, leafy greens, and nuts help quiet this internal fire. As inflammation subsides, Your cells become more responsive to insulin, your energy levels rise, and your body becomes more efficient at burning fat rather than hoarding it. Ultimately, losing weight fast and sustainably isn't about punishment or deprivation, it's about harmony when you give your body the right signals. Through food, movement, rest, and mindset, it knows exactly what to do. The more you nourish it, the more it trusts that food will always be available, and the more it's willing to release excess fat. Instead of counting every calorie, focus on the quality and purpose of what's on your plate. Eat foods that activate your metabolism, heal your gut, calm inflammation, and feed your brown fat. When you stop starving and start activating, you don't just lose weight, you gain energy, focus, and confidence. You stop living in survival mode and start thriving. Your body, when given the right conditions, knows how to heal itself and find its natural, healthy balance. That is the real secret to fast, lasting weight loss. Not a diet, not a number, but a partnership with your own biology. Deep within your body, every fat cell is alive, nourished, and sustained by a network of microscopic blood vessels. These capillaries act like tiny highways, delivering oxygen and nutrients that allow fat tissue to grow and thrive. Without this blood supply, fat cells cannot survive. This simple but powerful truth reveals one of the most remarkable biological discoveries in modern science. If you can control blood vessel growth, a process called angiogenesis, you can control body fat. And unlike calorie counting or starvation diets, this method works with your body's natural intelligence, not against it. Angiogenesis is your body's way of building new blood vessels. It's essential for healing wounds, repairing tissues, and growing new cells. However, when angiogenesis runs out of control, it can also feed diseases, including obesity. You see, fat cells don't just sit quietly in your body, they demand constant nourishment. The more blood vessels they recruit, the more they can expand. Scientists have found that excessive angiogenesis in fat tissue allows fat cells to multiply rapidly, which leads to weight gain and inflammation. But here's the incredible part. Your diet can influence this process. Certain natural foods have anti-angiogenic properties, meaning they can slow or even stop the abnormal growth of blood vessels that feed fat cells. When you eat these foods, you're not depriving your body, you're reprogramming it. You're telling your system to cut off the excess blood that helps fat grow while still maintaining the healthy circulation that supports muscle and organ function. This selective starvation of fat tissue is one of the most effective, evidence-based ways to reduce body fat naturally. Unlike dieting, it doesn't trigger hunger or stress your metabolism. Instead, it restores balance. Let's take a closer look at how this works through food. Green tea, for example, is rich in catechins, powerful bioactive compounds that have been shown to inhibit abnormal blood vessel growth. When you drink a cup or two of green tea daily, you're not just hydrating yourself, you're activating a biological switch that helps prevent fat cells from expanding. Similarly, in moderation, contains chlorogenic acid, another compound that has anti-angiogenic properties. It can help regulate blood sugar and insulin, both of which are key to preventing excess fat storage. Tomatoes are another standout. They contain lycopene, a natural pigment that gives them their red color and acts as a potent anti-angiogenic molecule. In clinical studies, lycopene has been shown to reduce the density of blood vessels feeding fat tissue. When you include tomato-based meals, such as fresh tomato salads, tomato soup, or lightly cooked sauces, you are, in effect, helping your body starve unnecessary fat cells. The best part, this happens without calorie restriction, without cravings, and without metabolic slowdown. Then there's soy. Fermented soy products like miso, tempeh, and natto contain genistein, a plant compound known to block the growth of blood vessels feeding unwanted fat. Genistein works gently but powerfully, slowing fat accumulation and supporting lean body composition. Red grapes and berries also contribute to this process through their natural polyphenols, especially resveratrol, which not only supports cardiovascular health but also interferes with the blood vessel networks that allow fat cells to flourish. You can think of this as landscaping inside your body. When angiogenesis is unbalanced, it's like weeds taking over a garden. The wrong blood vessels grow in the wrong places, nourishing tissues that don't need more fuel. Anti-angiogenic foods act like skilled gardeners, trimming back those overgrown vessels and keeping the internal environment clean, efficient, and in harmony. Another remarkable aspect of angiogenesis is that it works synergistically with your metabolism. As you cut off excess fat-feeding vessels, your body begins to redirect its resources. Energy that once went into maintaining extra fat now becomes available for healing, movement, and mental clarity. People often report feeling lighter, not just physically, but mentally, when they adopt an anti-angiogenic eating pattern. That's because your entire biological system begins to operate more efficiently when you remove this hidden burden. This approach also helps explain why some people eat relatively small amounts but still gain weight. It's not just about calories, it's about the biological environment that those calories enter. If your blood vessels are overactive and inflammation is high, your fat cells will have all the nourishment they need to expand even on a moderate diet. But when you regulate angiogenesis through food, you remove their lifeline. What makes this so empowering is that it's completely natural. You don't need supplements, injections, or drastic restrictions. You just need to include more foods that naturally inhibit unnecessary vessel growth, along with green tea, tomatoes, berries, soy, and coffee. Foods like turmeric, garlic, parsley, and citrus also play a role. These foods help normalize angiogenesis across your body, supporting not only healthy weight, but also cardiovascular function, skin health, and even brain performance. When you start eating this way, something profound happens. Your body stops hoarding energy and starts using it. Fat cells that once expanded now shrink because they're no longer being fed. Your metabolism speeds up, inflammation goes down, and you feel more in control of your appetite. You're no longer fighting your biology, you're guiding it. Weight loss achieved through angiogenesis isn't about punishment. It's about restoration. It's about returning your body to its natural balance, where every cell gets just the right amount of nourishment and no more. When you eat to regulate your blood vessels, you harness one of the body's most elegant systems for self-healing and fat control. You're not counting calories, you're counting on biology, and that's the difference between temporary results and lasting transformation. Inside your body lives an entire universe of microscopic life, trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that together make up your gut microbiome. This hidden ecosystem is one of the most powerful regulators of your health, influencing everything from your immune system and mood to your metabolism and weight. When your gut is balanced and diverse, it works with you. It helps digest food efficiently, manages inflammation, and tells your brain when you're full. But when your gut falls out of balance, a condition known as dysbiosis, it can quietly sabotage your efforts to lose weight. No matter how carefully you eat or how much you exercise, the gut doesn't just break down food, it communicates directly with your metabolism. The bacteria in your intestines produce compounds called short-chain fatty acids, which play a vital role in controlling fat storage, appetite, and insulin sensitivity. When you eat a fiber-rich diet, these beneficial bacteria flourish, creating signals that tell your body to burn fat for energy. On the other hand, when you feed your gut processed foods, added sugars, and artificial ingredients, harmful bacteria take over. These microbes release inflammatory molecules that disrupt your hormones, slow your metabolism, and trigger constant cravings for more unhealthy foods. One of the key hormones your gut microbiome influences is leptin, the signal that tells your brain you've had enough to eat. When your gut bacteria are balanced, leptin works properly, helping you stop eating at the right time. But when your gut is inflamed, leptin resistance develops, meaning your brain never gets the message that you're full. You end up overeating even when your body doesn't need the extra energy. This is why so many people feel always hungry when they're eating processed or low-fiber diets. Their gut is sending distorted signals. Another important player is ghrelin, the hunger hormone. Under normal conditions, ghrelin rises before a meal and drops afterward. But an unhealthy gut can cause ghrelin to remain elevated, making you feel hungry even when your body has enough fuel. Restoring your microbiome to balance helps normalize ghrelin and leptin, allowing you to reconnect with your natural hunger and fullness cues, a key to sustainable weight control. There's also a fascinating connection between gut bacteria and how your body stores fat. Some types of microbes, particularly those from the Firmicutes group, are extremely efficient at extracting calories from food. They can pull more energy from the same meal compared to other bacteria, meaning that two people eating identical diets can absorb very different numbers of calories depending on their gut makeup. People with a higher ratio of Firmicutes to Bacteroidetes, another major bacterial group, tend to gain weight more easily. The good news is that this ratio can be shifted through diet. The foods that promote a healthy gut are simple but powerful. Fiber is the #1 nutrient your microbiome loves. Vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains act as prebiotics, the natural fertilizer for your good bacteria. The more fiber you eat, the more beneficial short-chain fatty acids your microbes produce, which not only help burn fat, but also lower inflammation throughout your body. Fermented foods take this a step further. Yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, and kombucha are rich in probiotics, live bacteria that can recolonize your gut with healthy strains. These foods restore balance, improve digestion, and reduce bloating, helping your body process nutrients more efficiently. When paired with prebiotic fiber, probiotics thrive, creating a stronger, more resilient microbiome that supports fat metabolism and stable energy levels. Sugar, on the other hand, is the enemy of gut balance. Processed sugar feeds harmful bacteria and yeast, allowing them to dominate your digestive system. This imbalance produces toxic byproducts that leak into your bloodstream, causing low-grade inflammation, one of the major drivers of insulin resistance and weight gain. The cycle continues as inflammation triggers cravings for more sugar, keeping you trapped in metabolic chaos. Breaking that cycle by replacing sugar-laden snacks with fiber-rich, whole foods is one of the most effective steps you can take for both gut and weight health. Your gut and brain are also in constant communication through the vagus nerve, a direct biological pathway that carries messages in both directions. This means your gut literally talks to your brain about what you eat, how you feel, and when you're satisfied. When your gut is unhealthy, it can send stress signals that lead to emotional eating or cravings for comfort foods. When it's balanced, it supports calmness, clarity, and focus, all of which make it easier to make better food choices and maintain a healthy weight. Even your immune system is closely tied to your gut health. About 70% of your immune cells live in your intestines. A strong, balanced microbiome keeps your immune system from overreacting, reducing the chronic inflammation that can block fat burning. When inflammation is high, your body tends to store fat as a protective mechanism. When inflammation is low, your metabolism runs smoothly and efficiently. Healing your gut doesn't require extreme diets or supplements. It starts with small, consistent changes. Eat more whole plant foods, cut down on processed and fried items, include fermented foods daily, and stay hydrated. Stress management and quality sleep are also essential, as stress hormones can damage your gut lining and shift your microbiome toward harmful species. As your gut heals, your entire system begins to transform. You'll notice that your digestion improves, your energy increases, your cravings fade, and your weight starts to stabilize. Not because you're forcing it, but because your body is finally working the way it's meant to. You stop feeling like you're battling your own biology. Instead, your gut becomes your greatest ally in reaching a healthy, natural weight. The path to weight loss isn't about starvation or numbers. It's about communication. The conversation between your gut, your metabolism, and your brain determines whether your body stores or burns fat. When you nourish the right bacteria, you create a powerful partnership within yourself. A healthy gut doesn't just digest food, it transforms it into energy, vitality, and balance. That's why gut health is not just part of the weight loss story. It is the story. Most people think all fat is bad, that it simply sits under the skin, making clothes tighter and energy lower. But science reveals a completely different story. Not all fat is created equal. Hidden deep within your body is a special kind of fat that actually helps you burn calories instead of storing them. It's called brown fat, and it may be one of the most powerful keys to unlocking fast, natural weight loss. Unlike white fat, which stores excess energy, brown fat burns energy to create heat. In essence, it works like an internal furnace, keeping your body warm and metabolically active. The more brown fat you have, or the more you can activate it, the more calories you burn effortlessly, even at rest. Brown fat is packed with mitochondria, the tiny energy-producing engines inside your cells. These mitochondria contain iron, which gives brown fat its color. When activated, they burn stored fuel to produce heat, a process known as thermogenesis. Babies are born with high amounts of brown fat to help them stay warm, but adults have it too, concentrated around the neck, shoulders, spine, and chest. For years, scientists thought this tissue disappeared after infancy, but advanced imaging has shown that adults can retain and even reactivate brown fat through certain habits, foods, and environmental triggers. When brown fat is turned on, it begins to consume calories rapidly, pulling fuel from stored white fat and sugar in the blood. This doesn't just help with weight loss, it also improves blood sugar control, insulin sensitivity, and cardiovascular health. In other words, activating brown fat doesn't just make you leaner, it makes you healthier. The real question, then, is how to wake it up. One of the simplest ways to activate brown fat is through exposure to mild cold. When your body feels slightly chill, for example, taking a cool shower, spending a few minutes in a cold room, or even walking outside in brisk weather, your brown fat turns on to generate heat. You don't need to freeze. Even lowering the temperature a few degrees can stimulate thermogenesis. Cold exposure sends signals through your nervous system that trigger brown fat cells to start burning energy. Over time, your body becomes more efficient at this process, meaning you burn more calories with less effort. Exercise also plays a powerful role. When you move your body, your muscles release a hormone called irisin. Irisin has been shown to convert white fat, the kind that stores energy, into a more metabolically active form similar to brown fat, sometimes called beige fat. This transformation increases your total fat burning potential. It's another example of how your body can adapt naturally when given the right stimulus. The more you move, the more you activate this transformation, turning stored fat into fuel. But food can also communicate directly with your brown fat. Certain compounds in everyday foods have been proven to stimulate thermogenesis. One of the most effective is capsaicin, the compound that gives chili peppers their heat. When you eat spicy foods, capsaicin activates the same receptors in your nervous system that respond to cold exposure. This trick convinces your body to turn on its internal furnace. Studies show that people who regularly consume spicy foods have higher metabolic rates and lower body fat percentages. Green tea is another brown fat activator. Its bioactive compounds, especially catechins, work with caffeine to increase thermogenesis and fat oxidation. Together, they nudge your metabolism upward, helping your brown fat cells stay active longer. Coffee in moderation does something similar by stimulating the release of norepinephrine, a natural signal that triggers brown fat to burn energy. Even dark chocolate, rich in polyphenols, has mild thermogenic effects when consumed in small, pure amounts. Healthy fats also play a part. Omega-3 fatty acids, found in fish like salmon and sardines, help regulate the activity of brown fat and improve mitochondrial function. They make your fat-burning machinery more efficient, especially when combined with regular movement and balanced meals. Interestingly, sleep also affects brown fat. When you get enough high-quality rest, your body releases optimal amounts of melatonin, a hormone that not only regulates sleep but also supports brown fat activity. Poor sleep, on the other hand, lowers thermogenic function and increases white fat storage. Your microbiome, the bacteria in your gut, is also connected to brown fat activation. A balanced gut produces short-chain fatty acids that influence energy balance and fat metabolism. This means that eating fermented foods, fiber, and prebiotics doesn't just help digestion, it can also enhance your ability to burn fat through the gut-brown fat axis. Everything in the body is connected, and when your gut, metabolism, and hormones are in harmony, weight loss becomes effortless. Even your mindset and stress levels can influence this process. Chronic stress releases cortisol, which suppresses brown fat and promotes white fat storage, especially around the belly. Practicing relaxation techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or spending time in nature helps lower cortisol, keeping your metabolism more active and responsive. When you put all of this together, brown fat becomes more than just a scientific curiosity, it becomes your natural ally in fat loss. The key isn't punishment or deprivation, but activation. You can turn on this built-in fat-burning tissue through small, consistent lifestyle choices, staying slightly cool, drinking green tea, moving your body daily, sleeping deeply, and nourishing yourself with real, unprocessed foods. What makes brown fat so special is that it works silently around the clock. You don't need to count calories or spend hours in the gym to see its effects. Once activated, it helps your body regulate energy more efficiently, keeping you lean, energized, and resilient. Think of it as your biological furnace. Quiet but powerful, burning away excess fuel to keep your system balanced. When you learn to activate your brown fat, you're no longer fighting your metabolism. You're collaborating with it. You're awakening a natural mechanism that has been with you since birth, designed to protect and energize you. Instead of cutting, restricting, or exhausting yourself, you're giving your body permission to do what it does best. Maintain balance through intelligent, effortless energy use. The secret to lasting fat loss isn't found in deprivation, but in awakening your body's inner fire. The quiet, powerful burn of brown fat. Inflammation is one of the body's most powerful defense mechanisms. It's how your immune system responds to injury or infection. sending healing cells and molecules to where they're needed most. In small doses, inflammation is essential for survival, but when it becomes chronic, when the body stays in a constant state of low-level alert, it quietly begins to damage tissues, slow metabolism, and make it harder to lose weight. Most people struggling with stubborn fat don't realize that their greatest obstacle isn't willpower or even diet mistakes, it's inflammation working silently beneath the surface. When inflammation lingers, it disrupts nearly every system in the body. It interferes with insulin sensitivity, causing blood sugar spikes that make fat storage easier. It alters hormone signaling, making you hungrier and less satisfied after eating. It even damages the tiny mitochondria inside your cells, the engines that burn fat for energy. The result is a body that clings to fat no matter how carefully you eat or how hard you exercise. This is why many people find that even when they cut calories, their progress stalls. Their metabolism isn't broken, it's simply blocked by inflammation. The source of this inflammation often lies in what's on your plate. Ultra-processed foods, refined sugars, trans fats, and artificial additives flood the body with chemicals it wasn't designed to handle. Every bite of processed junk sends a wave of oxidative stress through your cells. Your immune system responds by releasing cytokines, inflammatory molecules meant to neutralize damage. But when these foods are consumed daily, the response never stops. The body remains in a constant state of firefighting, and that chronic inflammation becomes self-perpetuating. Over time, this low-grade inflammation shifts how fat cells behave. They become swollen and stressed, releasing even more inflammatory chemicals into the bloodstream, further feeding the cycle. But food can also be your greatest weapon against inflammation. Every meal is a message to your body, telling it either to inflame or to heal. Anti-inflammatory foods work like a cooling balm, calming your internal fire and allowing your metabolism to function smoothly again. One of the best examples is extra virgin olive oil. It contains a compound called oleocanthal, which acts like a natural anti-inflammatory, similar to ibuprofen but without side effects. When you use olive oil as your main source of fat for dressings, cooking, or drizzling over vegetables, you're sending a powerful signal of healing. Another anti-inflammatory powerhouse is fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel. These fish are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help regulate the body's immune response and reduce inflammation in fat tissue. Omega-3s also improve insulin sensitivity, allowing your body to burn fat more efficiently instead of storing it. Nuts, especially walnuts and almonds, offer similar benefits when eaten in moderation. Their healthy fats and antioxidants protect cells from oxidative stress and stabilize blood sugar. Plants play an equally important role in fighting inflammation. Cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, and Brussels sprouts contain sulforaphane, a compound that helps detoxify harmful molecules and switch on the body's anti-inflammatory genes. Leafy greens, rich in magnesium and polyphenols, calm the nervous system and lower stress-related inflammation. Berries, blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries are loaded with anthocyanins, pigments that fight free radicals and reduce inflammatory signals in fat cells. Each of these foods doesn't just lower inflammation, they directly support fat metabolism by improving the way your cells use energy. One of the less obvious but critical sources of inflammation is poor gut health. The lining of your gut acts as a barrier between your body and the outside world. When that barrier weakens, a condition often called leaky gut, tiny food particles and toxins leak into the bloodstream, triggering a constant immune response. This state of inflammation spreads throughout the body, making weight loss nearly impossible. Supporting your gut with fiber, fermented foods, and prebiotics helps strengthen this barrier, keeping inflammation under control and restoring metabolic balance. Inflammation also affects hormones like cortisol, the stress hormone. When you're under constant pressure from work, lack of sleep, or emotional stress, cortisol levels stay high. This not only increases inflammation, but also promotes fat storage, especially around the belly. Managing stress through deep breathing, meditation, or spending time outdoors can reduce cortisol and help bring inflammation back to a healthy baseline. Adequate sleep is equally important. During deep sleep, your body repairs inflammation-related damage and resets hormonal balance. Chronic sleep deprivation does the opposite. It spikes inflammation, increases hunger hormones, and suppresses fat burning. Even exercise has a dual effect on inflammation. Intense, prolonged workouts can briefly raise inflammation, but consistent moderate activity lowers it over time. Movement improves circulation, clears inflammatory molecules, and strengthens mitochondria. the tiny engines that burn fat. Walking, cycling, yoga, and resistance training all contribute to this long-term anti-inflammatory effect. The key is consistency, not punishment. When your body moves regularly, it learns to regulate inflammation naturally. Reducing inflammation is not about avoiding all triggers or following a strict diet. It's about restoring harmony. Every system in your body, immune, hormonal, digestive, and metabolic, depends on this balance. When inflammation subsides, insulin starts working again, hunger stabilizes, and energy levels rise. The body no longer feels threatened, so it releases stored fat instead of hoarding it. This is why people who adopt anti-inflammatory eating patterns often notice fat loss even without counting calories. Their metabolism finally works the way it was meant to. The transformation begins with small choices, replacing processed oils with olive oil, swapping sugary snacks for berries, eating more greens and fish, sleeping deeply, and managing stress before it manages you. Each of these steps extinguishes a little more of the chronic fire that's been holding your body hostage. Once that fire is out, your natural fat burning ability reignites. The truth is, weight loss isn't just about how much you eat or move. It's about the internal environment your body operates in. If that environment is inflamed, your body will resist change. But when you cool the system with healing foods and mindful living, your biology shifts from defense to growth. Fat loss becomes effortless, energy returns, and you feel lighter not just in body but in spirit. Ending inflammation isn't just about losing weight, it's about reclaiming balance, vitality, and the natural intelligence of your body's design. Every time you eat, you're not just feeding your body, you're sending it instructions. Food is far more than calories, proteins, carbs, or fats. It's biological information. Every bite you take carries messages that interact with your genes, your hormones, and even your microbiome. This idea completely transforms how we understand weight loss and health. Counting calories might tell you how much energy a food contains, but it tells you nothing about the quality of that food or how it will influence your metabolism. 2 meals with the same number of calories can have completely different effects inside your body. One can trigger fat storage, inflammation, and fatigue, while the other can ignite fat burning, healing, and renewal. Let's imagine 2 plates of food, both 500 calories. One comes from processed snacks, sugary drinks, and refined carbs. The other comes from fresh vegetables, whole grains, olive oil, and salmon. On paper, both meals are identical in calories, but inside your body, they create completely opposite responses. The processed food floods your bloodstream with sugar, forcing your pancreas to pump out insulin. Insulin's job is to store excess sugar as fat. Meanwhile, inflammation rises, gut bacteria get disrupted, and energy crashes soon after. On the other hand, the meal rich in healthy fats, fiber, and antioxidants lowers inflammation, stabilizes blood sugar, supports gut health, and keeps you full for hours. Your body reads that meal as a signal to repair, not to store. That's the true power of food as information. This concept helps explain why calorie restriction often fails. When people focus only on cutting calories, they usually reduce both nutrient quality and variety. The body starts interpreting this scarcity as a form of stress. Stress hormones like cortisol rise, metabolism slows down, and fat burning shuts off as your body tries to conserve energy. You might lose a few pounds in the beginning, but soon the weight creeps back. Your biology isn't fooled by simple math. It responds to signals. The right foods can send the message, you are safe, nourished, and ready to burn energy. The wrong ones send the message, you are under threat, hold on to fat. So, what kind of information should your food be sending? The most powerful messages come from natural, whole foods that humans have eaten for thousands of years. Take polyphenols, for example. These are plant-based compounds found in berries, tea, extra virgin olive oil, and dark chocolate. They don't just fight inflammation, they communicate directly with your DNA to activate genes that protect against obesity, aging, and chronic disease. They also feed beneficial gut bacteria, which in turn release short-chain fatty acids, molecules that reduce hunger and improve metabolism. Every time you eat blueberries or drizzle olive oil on your salad, you're literally turning on your body's healing and fat-burning programs. Proteins also carry important messages. Beyond building muscle, proteins influence hormones like GLP-1 and peptide YY that signal satiety to your brain. That's why eating high-quality protein from sources like beans, lentils, eggs, or fish keeps you satisfied far longer than processed carbs. It tells your body you're nourished, no need to store fat. In contrast, low-quality protein sources, such as processed meats, carry inflammatory compounds that can trigger the opposite effect. Again, it's not just about calories, it's about biochemical communication. Even fats, long misunderstood, are powerful messengers. Healthy fats like those in avocados, nuts, and olive oil send anti-inflammatory signals to the body. They stabilize cell membranes and improve the function of mitochondria, the energy powerhouses inside your cells. Unhealthy fats, like those found in fried foods and hydrogenated oils, send distress signals that damage cells and promote inflammation. These damaged signals slow down metabolism, making fat loss harder even if your calorie count stays low. Carbohydrates, too, can be either helpful or harmful depending on their source. Whole fruits, vegetables, and intact grains release glucose slowly, keeping energy levels steady. Refined carbs like white bread and sugary snacks flood your system with glucose all at once, forcing your body to store excess sugar as fat. The first type of carb says, sustain energy, stay balanced. The second says, emergency, store for later. It's a difference not of numbers, but of messages. Your gut microbiome plays a crucial role in decoding this information. The trillions of bacteria living inside your intestines are like tiny interpreters. They translate the food you eat into chemical signals that affect metabolism, immunity, and even mood. When you feed these microbes with fiber, fermented foods, and plant-based compounds, they thrive, sending anti-inflammatory and fat-burning messages throughout your body. But when you feed them sugar, refined flour, and processed fats, harmful bacteria take over, producing toxins that trigger inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Once again, the food you choose shapes the story your body tells itself. Another layer of this story lies in timing. When you eat can amplify or distort the messages in your food. Eating late at night, when your metabolism slows down, sends confusing signals to your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. It tells your system that energy storage should continue even when it should be resting. On the other hand, aligning meals with daylight hours and allowing time for fasting between them gives your body clear instructions to burn fat and repair cells during rest periods. When you start to see food as information, everything changes. You stop obsessing over restriction and start focusing on communication. You begin to ask, what message am I sending my body right now? That question shifts the focus from deprivation to empowerment. It encourages mindful eating, savoring real foods that nourish and heal rather than fill and inflame. The beauty of this approach is that it restores trust in your body. You no longer fight against your biology, you work with it. When you consistently provide your body with the right information, it knows exactly what to do. It burns fat efficiently, repairs itself naturally, and keeps you feeling energized. Weight loss stops being a battle and becomes a side effect of balance. At its core, health isn't a math equation. It's a dialogue between you and your cells, between food and your genes. The more clearly you communicate through real, vibrant, whole foods, the better your body understands its role. Food then becomes not just fuel, but language, the most powerful form of biological conversation we have. When you learn to speak that language fluently, you stop dieting and start thriving.